Okay, so coming in at Jojo tier, we have Jojo, and this is the worst character in the entire game. For the love of God, he is a rare. Please buff Jojo. Why is he so bad?
I can persevere, go forward on my own. There's a bright and shining pure light coming through the darkness of the night. Now I can't help crying for my life. In this endless time that I live inside, take a closer look at who you are.
Wagwan, people of today, it's me Shiveraway, and before we get into this video, as per usual with every one of my tier lists, I have to give you the opinion warning. Now this is your opinion warning. If you cannot handle someone else's opinion of what's good in this PvE game, then go cry about it in the comments, lose your mind, I don't care. So guys, in this tier list, I'm going to be going over all the characters from D to S tier, from the ones that are literally unusable to the ones that are so overpowered that you can spam one move and win the hardest levels in this entire game. So let's not waste any more time. So coming in at D tier, these characters, every single one of them are completely unusable. If you just simply cannot use them, they are super bad. So I don't really know where to start. Everyone knows with these beginning characters such as Naruto, Chad, PTS Sasuke, PTS Luffy, Sakura Ichigo, they really just have the same moves reskinned and they're just not even good. Naruto's Rasengan has to be one of the worst moves in the entire game. And now, if you want to know my opinion on what the worst character in the game is, it has to be Uryu. Now Uryu, he is just sucks. His M1s don't do any damage whatsoever. It doesn't matter even if you level them up, they don't do any damage, don't even have that long of a range, and they're just not good. Now Todoroki, now he is not as bad as some of the other ones on here, but it's just a startup and end lag that he has for no reason, which makes using any of his moves just a death sentence because of the startup and because it doesn't give you RI frames. Now Bartolomeo, he just sucks as well. There's really nothing good about him, just painfully average. There's literally characters that you'll see higher up on this tier list that do everything he does and higher, but the reason I put him in D tier is if you use his engulfing move, the one where you can put yourself in that little ball, you can quite literally kill yourself. Okay, this is a really bad character. Like, I would not use him. Okay, and now we are at C tier. Now these characters definitely suck, but they're not as bad. So I think the other ones that you'll see on here are pretty self-explanatory. Now Polnareff, he's actually pretty decent, and the only reason I put him in C tier is because there's characters that are higher up in the tier list that literally have all of his moves but better. Now he's definitely a decent character, but I just don't see any reason why you would use him when there's characters that do what he does but better in the exact same rarity of him. So I really wouldn't use him. Now Goku, now for a common character, he's actually really good. Same with Sanji. And I think that even this time skip Naruto, they're okay. Now these, I really can't put these higher. They're not horrible, but there's just so much better, and it's just really sad because I kind of like a lot of these characters such as Natsu and Rukia. They're just not that good. Okay, now B tier. Now these are the characters that are starting to get good. Now I also have to mention here that this is where you kind of see some deviation, because a lot of these characters here, such as Josuke, that are just B tier if you're running alone, but if you're playing with people, Josuke immediately S tier. The ability to heal your team members is literally OP, and there's multiple infinite health glitches you can do with him, so he definitely be SS++ if you're playing with other people, but if you're playing alone, I can only really put him in B tier. Now that goes for a lot of other characters that you'll see on here. Now Grimjow, the one and only number 6 Espada Jagger Jax, now he's pretty good, but I don't think that he's that good when it comes to stuff like that requires AoEs, because his Sero is not that good. The hitbox for it just not that good. Byakuya, he's decent. There's really not much to say about him. And then the base Itachi, okay, not that good. But we also have the time skip Naruto, who definitely is not horrible, but my problem with him is that he can't, it's just his moves don't do much damage. Like, as okay as he is, but his frog summoning just doesn't do much damage, and there's really nothing else to say about that. And now a character that you'll be surprised to see up this high is going to be the PTS Zoro. And PTS Zoro only has 3 moves, but it's on his 3rd move, does a lot of damage and gives you iframes, so he's actually very, very good. I might even be inclined to put him higher, but again, he's just because there's a lot of characters that can do what he can do better. And now we have the disappointments, and that is Shanks and Kenpachi Zaraki. My favorite character in Bleach, Kenpachi, is just pretty, like, he's definitely the worst legendary. Like, he's just really mid. He's just extremely mid. And Shanks, he's okay. He's an okay character. That's why I put him B tier. Before, he's definitely not legendary. Like, compared to what the other legendaries can do, it's just not that good. Now, Ace, you might be surprised that I put him this low, but I really feel like maybe if some of his moves didn't have as much startup, or if they did a bit more damage or had less end lag, then maybe I could put him A tier. But for now, I just put him at the top of B tier. But every character here, if you get them, they're a decent use. And now we have the good characters, the characters that you want to invest your time into leveling up with A tier. So I'll start off probably the most surprising one, which is going to be Time Skip Sasuke, and he is actually very good. He's definitely a good character. I don't know if it was intentional, but all of his moves are like really solid and high damaging. He does have decent crowd control, but I still have to put him at the bottom of A tier just because he's not all too crazy. Now next we have Future Gohan. Definitely a good move. I like that his AoE move, you actually teleport above your opponents and it does big AoE for big damage. Now the other character beside him, no clue who that is, so I'm going to completely skip over him. Now Meliodus. Meliodus is a good character. This was actually the only rare that I had for a while, and he was pretty fun to use. He can definitely, I can definitely see how he could be put in legendary just because of his crowd control. Now Kisuke, pretty decent, but again, for a legendary, he's not too crazy, but he is still a legendary, so he's definitely good. Now Tanjiro, speaking of legendaries, if he was a legendary, I don't think anyone would bat an eye. He is just as good, definitely one of the best units in the entire game, totally underrated, so if you get him, you should definitely use him. Now Dio, again, I'm talking alone, Dio isn't too crazy, but if you have playing with multiple people, again, a must-have SS+. Now Dio, he does a lot of damage, but I only wish that his cooldowns were not so high. Now with Whitebeard, it's self-explanatory. Big AoE, lots of damage, but the only thing preventing him from being S tier is the startup and end lag on a lot of his moves. His cooldowns are kind of beefy as well. Now at the top of the A tier, I put Mihawk. Now Mihawk, definitely a versatile character that has basically everything, low cooldowns, but the only problem is the hitbox of some of his moves. If people are right up in your face, like really close to you, so your moves such as your Ravine will just straight up miss. And if that got fixed, it would definitely be an S tier character, but for now, this is the highest I can put him. And now we have the big boys, the S tier, the best characters in the game. And there's really no order I can even really put these guys in, because I can see you making arguments for any of them being the best character in the game. But I'll describe them and explain them why I put them here one by one. So starting with Gojo, this guy is just spam of AoEs with low cooldowns for some reason that the hitbox doesn't even make sense, because when you use him, you're hitting stuff that are like nowhere near you, and it's just crazy. A lot of people say that he is the best in the game, and I don't even know why some of his moves give you iframes as well. Now Minato, also a good character, just teleporting across the map, and sometimes the game glitches out and flings you, which gets you out of so many situations, but obviously that's not intended. But still, he's just really good and definitely S tier. Now Broly is a lot of people main Broly because his best move has a low cooldown and has iframes in it, so it does a lot of DOT damage, and I'm talking about his number 4 move. And even if that's off cooldown, his number 3 move literally brings you up in the air and then calls down a beam of just straight damage, and it's pseudo iframes even though you can still be put in it, but you're in the air, so it's definitely very good. Now we have Asta, and this is just another ranged AoE spam, and I think that's what puts him up here, because not only does he have AoEs, all of his AoEs are basically ranged. So it's like you can just be doing damage from afar, doing damage from up close, damage from anywhere, and a lot of it. And now we have Madra, and Madra, he's probably, in my opinion, I say that he is the best character in the game, simply because his first move, which does a lot of damage, gives you iframes. I don't even know why, just makes you immortal when you use it. And okay, so for the sadness raid, Madra is definitely meta, because his wood binding move, it's a single target, so not that good for AoE, but if you're using it on a boss, it's just gonna kill them. His Susanoo Barrage, his number 4 move, is just gonna melt someone's health. It's just overpowered in that sense. And my favorite move that he has is that literal flaming pillar of just fire, this tornado, which I think is his second move, and I think it's just cool because it brings your opponents into them. And yeah, Madra is just overpowered, does so much damage with low cooldowns. He's crazy. And another fan favorite is the legendary Hitachi, and legendary Hitachi is just great. So you have a move that straight up makes you immortal for like 10 seconds, and then you have your Amaterasu and the auto tracking ability that hits everything and does damage over time. And then you also have your number 4 move, which is the Susanoo, and that does a lot of damage as well. And your Genjutsu, just another good AoE move. So every single character in the legendary tier is worth using. I really wouldn't even put one over the other, because they're all like equally overpowered. It's like they're all gonna get the job done. And so with that, the video comes to an end. So let me know which characters you guys are using. Let me know what you think of this tier list. Do you agree? Tell me in the comments down below who you're using. So that's me, Shiver Away, signing out. I'll see you guys in the next one.